All right. So we are back for another ride home review.
Yay.
Our guest.
Go ahead and introduce him.
Hello, I am the guest,
That's right.
Thomas Avallone,
Thomas Avallone.
From Maccentric.
the metric system.
The metric
Yes.
system. And the rewind. We went and saw Ant-Man.
We did.
Ant-Man.
Right? Off to
I
a good
made-
start.
I made that weird.
I liked it. It didn't feel like a Marvel movie. Like, it didn't feel like any of the other Marvel movies. It's a Marvel movie. It's about it's another Marvel character, like Captain America and all of those characters, but this one's played by Paul Rudd, and he is a guy who can shrink and control ants.
That is what he does. That is for sure. He is an Ant-Man.
Yes.
It felt kind of like, I felt like a Disney film, but with a little more edge. And Paul Rudd was funny, and Michael Pena was funny, and Michael Douglas
I
was
thought
good.
Michael Pena was like the funniest person in the movie.
Yes,
Yeah, he was
that
awesome.
performance.
I thought surprisingly Paul Rudd wasn't as funny as I thought he'd be.
He seemed a bit dialed
Some
back.
of the jokes
I
kind
think
of
he
felt...
kind of had to be to carry that, like,
Yeah.
you know, he's like the hero guy.
Right.
Um,
I thought... I didn't really like it. And I thought it kind of took itself more seriously than it should have.
I agree.
For all I read about how it was going to be self-aware and everything, and imagining, as we all did, what an Edgar Wright version was, you know.
well, that's where I got to throw that out. You can't imagine the Edgar Wright version.
You have to.
Well, but
He's still
part
a
of the reason I
co-writer
think they
credited
did-
on the film.
I think part of the reason they did well is because think about what it went through. Like, they had to get Paul Rudd to like write some of it. They had to bring in Peyton Reed.
I think it did.
So
I think it's exactly what that sounds like, where you have 4 people writing it, and it's gone through different people, and it doesn't feel like it was anybody's clear vision of what it was. It was just
Agreed.
kind
I liked it. It felt different, but I think they could have
it just felt kind of
used
sloppy.
more of the humor beats, and like it just was too long. Like, they tacked on the end.
I felt like it was better than it had given its history any right to be.
Yeah.
I think it started strong, and I was totally
Yeah.
into it.
Yeah.
But as time went on, I found myself
Too many
not...
training montages. I
Yeah,
felt like.
there were so
it
many
was.
training montages. And I love a training montage. Don't get me wrong, but
yeah.
there were like 4 training montages.
Right.
I just found myself caring less and less about what was happening.
It felt
Right.
very kind of by the book, like
At first-
Yes.
like this guy because he has a daughter.
Well, the pacing felt right
all
at
tacked
first.
on.
It seemed like it got there to a good point, and it was like, okay, now they got to do the heist.
Yeah.
And that took forever.
Right.
And then also, the
just
villain,
wasn't
Darren Cross, was just way too much.
Was it the first Iron Man that was making me think, where it's like, okay, here's a superhero who's got a fancy suit, and the bad guy's got another version of the suit.
Right.
Yeah.
So we got to get the suit out of the bag. It's like, oh my gosh, I've seen this already.
I couldn't help but feel as if I was reaching officially Marvel fatigue. As much as I enjoy
was
the
too.
films, I felt like it was. I had sort of the opposite reaction than you did, Kimmerton. I felt it was the quintessential Marvel film. It was just more Marvel, and
Yeah.
it's not that it's a bad thing. It's just that
It
we've
was just
seen
I
it.
didn't
mediocre.
feel like it was
It was
as
just
much.
mediocre.
I felt like I had a lot of Marvel fatigue, honestly, coming from Age of Ultron.
Yes,
Because there's so
agreed.
much stuff, and it was so, like, you know, serious, and so this one I could just kind of go with it and not overthink it.
I just didn't think it gave me a reason to care. It's like, okay,
I mean,
here's
I
a
don't-
brand new character,
I don't
here's
need
a
a reason
story,
to
and I'm
care
just
about
like, oh.
Ant-Man.
He's another
there's no
like,
reason I
white
should
guy
be like,
superhero.
yeah, but it's Ant-Man. I don't care. Like, I'm not gonna
Right,
be like,
but-
let's Dark Knight this
But I
Ant-Man.
thought, well, I don't want it to be Dark Knight, but I thought it could be funnier. It's like, okay, we're getting. I want Marvel to say, okay, this is getting insane.
It
We're
was
getting
very-
ridiculous, and they didn't do that enough.
It was family friendly, which
The
is not a
music-
bad thing.
The music was so serious, and like, here's what you should feel.
Right.
It's like the cliche story elements were all just from something like.
I think
it
the
could have
length
been
could
anything.
have helped. I liked that he fought. He showed up with fought the Falcon.
Yeah.
That was random.
Yeah, but it
But it-
also felt a bit shoehorned. It was
Yeah.
like, okay.
he's like,
there
I
were
want
there were
that.
a few
Let's
instances
get
where
you
it
more
just felt
excited
like
about the bigger thing we're doing.
right.
Yeah.
There were a few instances where I felt like I could see where the Edgar Wright film lived, and then every now and then you could see where they shoehorned something in.
Like,
that
it felt like
didn't
nobody really
necessarily
cared about this
have to
one.
be
Like,
there.
You know, like some of the movies, you know, like Captain America: Winter Soldier, that felt like somebody cared about doing
but see,
something.
like that had like again for me, it's just like Captain America: Winter Soldier, like that. You know,
I don't think
if
anybody
it went
that
with
made
that
this
tone
really
for
cared what they were
Ant-Man,
doing.
well, I don't think you can with him. I mean,
I
like
think you can. I think you can care about something making something ridiculous, and I don't think anybody cared enough to even do that.
so you think basically they didn't? They
Like, I
could have
felt
gone
like-
to one extreme or the
I
other,
felt
and
like
they went in the middle to
They're
say.
just mediocre, safe in the
Okay,
middle.
I get what you're
Nobody's
saying there.
really invested in it. They're just kind
I
of.
see what you're saying there.
Right. It was
It's
just
not.
sort of-
It's not a terrible film, but it didn't justify its own existence. I don't think.
So you're
was-
saying like you'd rather them just go complete fun, like crazy with it? Yeah.
Like do something like, you know, like I hate
It
to
just-
bring this up again because I did it during the Ultron review, but it's like do like Daredevil. Y'all went in a completely different direction
Right.
with that. But
It
let's start
didn't-
seeing some fresh ideas.
It didn't
And
have
it-
a distinctive feel to
No.
it at all.
Yeah.
It's
There was
very,
no author.
very bland
Yeah.
and
But
forgettable.
also, like, Daredevil's an example, but, like, that doesn't necessarily mean, you know, I think, like you're saying, it doesn't have to be like that. The tone is serious as Daredevil.
No,
it's just
I
that's
mean
a different world.
like
it could
Daredevil,
be
not serious
completely
like Daredevil.
slapstick
Yeah,
almost.
right. You could
Or
go-
like, you know, almost like a, you know.
Like that's what I say when I think like the Edgar Wright version would have been a very
Right.
peculiar,
Right.
its own
Right.
vibe kind of thing.
And, or just a, yeah.
And I
just
think
a
Marvel
big,
would have
fun,
been smart to
colorful,
let him
crazy
do that. Yeah.
thing. Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Right, they could have let him go off.
Because
and
there
do
are
his own
some,
thing.
there are occasionally these little jokes in there where you're like, oh, like the final battle. You know, it's kind of ridiculous that the whole thing's in like a girl's bedroom and there's like
Right.
the train.
Get her out of
set.
there. Why weren't they getting her out of there?
Right.
Yeah, so
He's like, I'm gonna go check on her.
yeah, there was a moment where I like whispered over to Kimmer. I was like,
She's
"Why
just
did the
in her
cops
bed,
just
like-
now go
Those
in
were
there?
the two worst police officers
Oh my
ever
God.
committed to film.
They are so
They were
easily
horrible.
distracted
They
by
were
everything.
awful.
How is
Awful.
that girl? How is Cassie not super fucked up from that whole experience? By the way,
And
she's
they
just like
keep-
at the end feeding the giant.
no,
ant.
she's got a
the
giant
ant, like
ant.
he didn't shrink it back.
She
Like
loves
no.
her
Weird.
prisoner father. That's a weird kid. She's gonna be like a villain when
Yeah.
she grows up.
She is. That would
She's
be
like
a,
not phased by anything. She's
that
like,
would be a great twist.
I think
Um,
the movie also kind of has this feel. Like I keep always questioning it within the greater cinematic universe. Like in these instances, why isn't like Iron Man flying by to see what's going on when
Right.
like a
Well,
tank flies out of a building?
Here's my
Right.
question. Do you feel like, because I kind of felt like this, like they're like, yeah, we're gonna use Ant-Man in the Avengers, but like I feel like he's
They had
gonna
to
be
really
like
work
they're
to
gonna
fit
use
that
him.
in,
They're
yeah.
gonna use him as like, hey, we need you to steal or something like a side thing.
Yeah,
It's not.
you're gonna be our
It
heist
doesn't
guy.
feel like they really want him to be in there.
Yeah.
You know, like he feels
Well, they have
like a
too many.
supporting.
I mean, Age of Ultron ended with a whole new cast of Avengers.
yeah,
too,
and
it's
Age
like,
of Ultron had to do things like,
There's
Thor
there's
went
no
to look for
shortage
something in
of
a
heroes.
tunnel and
Yeah.
he's been gone for a while.
Yeah, there's no
and
shortage
the whole
of
bed
stories.
in a plane.
He
Like,
was
they had to
so
be like,
sad
we
at
gotta get
the
rid of some
end.
people.
Right. We
Yeah.
don't know where the Hulk is. I thought for sure that when he was shrinking between the atoms, I thought, okay, here comes more Thanos. Here comes some sort of Guardians of the
Right.
Galaxy connection. It may have been there. I just didn't recognize it.
I thought that was one of the most interesting things that
Yeah.
happened, and I hated that it got resolved so quickly.
Right.
Yeah.
So, like,
to me,
everything-
I think
every
they could have
beat of the
shaved off
movie-
the last portion of that battle or the whole helicopter scene.
Yeah.
And done like more of that.
Yeah.
Right.
Because it was, and
that's
Corey
what- it was
Stoll
sort
is a
of like
really
a-
good actor,
Yeah.
and I felt like he was kind of wasted. It's
Yeah.
just like this
I thought he
very
was good.
Disney, like I know they
Yeah.
used Disney in maybe a flattering sense earlier, but that was more for like the lighter stuff. But Corey Stoll was just like,
Right.
and like they hint that obviously he's like unbalanced.
Yeah,
because of the
Marvel
stuff.
still doesn't have good villains.
No, well.
How
He's
about all that
bald, just like
precision,
a Dustin,
the
yeah.
precision shooting of ants? That's what I almost laughed out loud at more than
Yeah.
once,
Yeah.
where they were able not only to see the ant that Ant-Man was riding on, but fire a bullet and hit it.
Right.
Yeah.
More than once.
Also, what a cheap like
And I
play!
didn't
Like,
care.
oh no, they killed his.
He's
his-
like
his-
Anthony.
Anthony, like
I was like-
it's 1 in a million freaking ants you got marching around.
I mean,
I
I
just-
probably stepped
and, like,
on
the wing
I
fell
stepped
in
on a
slow
couple a
motion.
day,
Yeah.
I mean, I just don't think they care
It's like
about
we're
me.
supposed to care about his horse.
But I
you
will
know?
say, like, I honestly like have researched the comics to try to figure out how the
And I
fuck
know
do they control ants.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean,
anything
I
about
really looked
Ant-Man.
into that
Go
because
ahead.
Hank
Right.
Pym's an important character, and
Yes.
like they kind of touch on it, but like I've really kind of done, even if it's like
He's
some kind of
stimulating
bullshit
them.
explanation,
stimulates
like
them.
like
Right.
whatever, Isotron, whatever. But basically, yeah, it's just the thing. But
It's
it
the thing.
didn't bother me nearly as much.
No.
I was just like, sure, whatever.
Yeah. I mean, at that point, I gave up on logic.
Yeah.
But one thing I thought was interesting, in the middle of the heist, they go to all this work. The guys, like, triple lock down the building and everything.
Right.
They've got to, like, put a guy in to, like, lower the water pressure so they can come in through the water pipes.
Why can't he just go in the door, though? I feel like that was still, like, very possible.
Well, yeah. I mean, one thing is he's so small, so he could fit in anything. But what was interesting is, as he's coming through the pipe, the little escape hatch, ants come out of that. So how do those ants get in? Because
there are ants everywhere. It's
He's
like
an
the Force.
ant-sized man that should theoretically be able to go.
Ants are probably already in there, Evan, because people spill sodas and they just they come to the sugar.
Ants are everywhere.
That's what I know. Ants appeared very quickly in place. Like they're on the guy's shoulder. All of a sudden, you didn't feel ants coming up his leg.
You
it
know,
might like be in a second. Like,
well, in the comics, Hank Pym, Ant-Man can shrink, but he also eventually can become enormous,
giant man.
And so basically,
I think they kind of
imply
that it might go that way.
He put the thing in there.
That's how he got Infinity.
I'm kind of like, I don't know how I feel about giant Paul Rudd.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm shooting, like.
If you love regular size Paul
it's just
Rudd,
going to become,
like,
I mean, I think the next...
I like some of those quick cuts, too, when he was, like, flashing around and stuff like that. I could have done with more of that.
The action sequence?
Like a whole, like, he was, like, strobe lighting and just, like, punching people.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, let him do a whole room. Instead, Michael Douglas is, like, joining in, and Michael Pena
I felt
knocks
bad
out, like,
for
15.
Michael Douglas in this movie. Like, it just felt like he's better than...
He's got a kid. He's like, I need to do one more for him.
Yeah.
I think,
His goatee bothered me.
And I felt bad for Evangeline Lilly or what. Like, it's like she had a terrible role. Like, that was a flat character.
She did more with that role than she should have, though.
Yeah.
And,
I mean, she was given a terrible role.
Corey still, I mean, I don't know if he could have done much more, but I mean, he, short of like having a mustache to twirl,
yeah,
he was. But
it's just like,
it
has to
like
do so much explaining that it's kind of exhausting setting all this stuff. I was like, I don't need any more hero. I really don't. Just give me more depth to somebody that's already existing. I don't know. Like I actually kind of liked the new Avengers, but now I'm like, I don't want to watch another Avengers because I'm gonna get too exhausted with all the storylines I got.
Well, I saw like there's after credit sequence spoiler obviously with like Captain America and the Falcon and Winter Soldier, and I was just like, oh,
I don't. Yeah, I'm like, I don't care that they
I'm not ready
need
to do
Ant-Man.
that. Yeah.
And what kind of stupid situation are they in where it's like, oh, let's not call Iron Man. Oh, I know a guy.
Yeah.
I know a guy.
He's like, if we need to.
And what was the deal with the Winter Soldier cowering in the corner?
Yeah.
Was that the moment that they caught up with him?
I don't even know where that came from. I mean, not that I'm following.
I feel like that's going to be
very brief.
A minor plot point in Civil War.
Yeah,
I think
like,
what
you remember that movie?
Like okay, what do they need to do with him? They need to hide him so they won't come get him. But what's Ant-Man gonna do?
Yeah, what does he bring to the table?
Like, I can hide.
He doesn't bring anything.
No,
to the
he
table.
said this would have been easier a week ago. What would have been easier a week ago? I don't understand.
He said something. He said Stark.
Something
maybe
about
like during the Avengers.
Something won't let Stark.
They need to
Stark will tell the so and so.
I didn't.
But look, we're already talking about like the Avengers. Like we're already past Ant-Man here. We're talking about the bigger. Like that's kind of like I sort of thought about that when looking through the credits to make just sort of a metaphor out of it. It's like you got millions of people made this sort of relatively insignificant film, and in the same way, I feel like this is kind of an insignificant. It's like one of those people is part of the Marvel universe. This is just like a little insignificant piece of that.
No, I feel like if
they need to realize that that one movie is not strictly there to service the next one.
Right.
And I think they're falling.
They need to get back into making the movie worth it on its own.
Announced it, right. And then Edgar Wright left, and they're like, "No, we're gonna do it. We got to do this."
And Edgar Wright was the guy that like they weren't even gonna make an Ant-Man movie. No, but he was like, "I want to make an Ant-Man movie."
He was like the first people to do a movie.
Marvel began working on Ant-Man before Iron Man. That's how long that was in development. Really? So I think Ant-Man could have been an opportunity at a time.
See, and it doesn't feel like something that's.
No,
it feels like a cash-in.
No, I can see why Edgar Wright left because I think this could have been an opportunity for Marvel to do something different in theatrically, like they did with Daredevil. But instead, they chose to say we need to shoehorn this into the larger.
Like Guardians of the Galaxy has something like. Rocket Raccoon, where it's like, how are you going to make that work? Well, you make it a different tone.
Right.
This isn't all that different. You have Ant-Man.
It's the same. In my mind, it's the same thing. And why didn't they do the same thing? Why didn't they let somebody?
I guess the reason I didn't feel like I strongly disliked it. Well, I guess because there's things like Thor: Dark World, and those I'm really like that's just a placeholder. Yeah, like this was at least like okay, that's kind of cute, whatever.
But I didn't feel like we saw anything we haven't seen before in other movies where people shrink. Like, you know, I got
like,
a very Honey, I Shrunk the
Kids.
Kids
Yeah.
vibe.
Always the water in a drain.
And
Right.
the ants, yeah.
I mean,
vacuum
bugs.
cleaner.
There weren't
There were-
any like
there-
food segments.
there were no
I
bowl-
guess.
There
It'd
was
be
not a
cool
bowl
if he
of
like bumped
Cheerios.
into Rick Moranis. He's like, "You gotta get me out of here."
And it's a Disney film. It's a Disney film, so there's the
They
potential
could've.
for a
Like,
crossover.
what if
He's
Rick,
not doing anything.
What if
No.
Rick Moranis was Dr. Pym, Hank Pym? Like that would have been amazing.
Oh my
I
god.
know, Darren Cross.
Oh my god.
Yes.
Make Rick Moranis the bad guy.
Yeah.
Well,
The other thing
and
that-
like the teaser ending, like where Evangeline Lilly's gonna be like a ant woman.
Oh, who
It's
saw
like,
that coming?
Who cares?
Right.
I don't care.
Right.
I don't even need Ant-Man. I don't need two of them.
No, at the end when he's looking at the photo of him and his wife and Evangeline Lilly as a child, the photo, his wife, her face is covered by a hat.
Yeah, because they didn't
Who
actually.
frames a photo where
Because they didn't even have an actress. Because when
Well,
they
it's
did
like-
the flashback,
it's like,
she's in full suit. She was
I
actually a
remember.
digital
I'll
character.
never forget you.
They don't want to have to credit.
I don't even
Sure.
need to see your face.
Yeah.
Just-
Insignificant
that was a
person.
great hat,
And then he's like, "Well, we've had a horrible, strained relationship all this time, and a lot of that's because I won't let you get in the suit, but I just built you this."
I just built you this suit, and I could have resolved all of our issues
If we had
25
talked-
years
yeah.
ago if I
How
had just told
convenient
you.
that he tells that story in front
Right.
of Ant-Man
What was
or
his
whatever.
motivation to suddenly tell her
I don't
after
know.
all that time?
That was
Because
such a
they had an
forced scene.
uncomfortable.
I was rolling my eyes during that scene, and then
Yeah.
they're like the husband and wife disarming
It-
the bomb, and she goes, and I'm just like, I don't care. I
It just-
didn't even met that lady.
It unraveled
Of course she
fairly
died.
quickly.
I think you were in the bathroom during that part. It was
Like
stupid.
10 or 15 minutes in, things started to
It was
go
like
downhill.
foreshadowing for him having to go subatomic.
Well, I think another thing too is there are a lot of good actors in this film. Like even Paul Rudd's wife, that lady's a good actor. Can't remember her name. And then her, the stepdad, he's a fantastic actor. Can't remember his name.
Carnivale.
Bobby
Cannavale.
Yeah, so they had a lot of talent in there.
Right.
And it's
Everybody's
just
just
kind of like,
I kept thinking like all these people must just sign on because they want to be in this universe. You know, like nobody like cares.
Well, some
about
of them
this
signed
movie.
on before Edgar Wright left.
Right,
Yeah.
that too.
So they're like,
That
I want to
too.
be in an Edgar Wright Marvel Ant-Man movie.
right.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm
darn
left
it.
with a bad taste in my mouth. Like,
Yeah.
I'm just ready for like the
I'm not gonna
break
watch
to
that
the next
again.
phase.
yeah,
Yeah.
So let's take a break, Marvel.
yeah. I think they need to like put some ice on whatever. Like just take your time a little bit.
Well, the good news is the next film is directed by the Russo brothers,
Right.
who directed the
Yeah.
last
They
time
know
we saw.
they know their shit. And then
right.
and then I got high hopes for Spider-Man.
Yeah, there was a Spider-Man reference in this
there
film.
was. They said
He was like, "We got
crawls on
people."
walls.
Yeah, who was the swinging guy? I guess he
yeah.
was the swinging guy. He said, "We
Yeah,
got
he
guys that swing,
crawl on walls.
crawl on walls. We
They've
got all
been
sorts of
hearing
guys."
about him,
Right,
and-
they've been hearing
I
about
didn't
him.
And
even-
he's
I didn't
actively
even pick up
recruiting,
on
which I
that.
like too.
Right.
But
right.
because they need so many more. But I do feel like
Yeah, is that like a problem at Shield? They're like, we just don't have enough Avengers. Like, where can we get some
well, they
more?
lost Thor and Hulk, and they only have the Vision, who's an
But did they
all-powerful
really
god to
lose-
replace
I
him.
mean-
But I think the Marvel knows that they have to, and their Spider-Man's their baby.
Like, I hope
they're
that-
gonna nail
I hope
it.
that Civil War, we just see heroes getting killed left and right.
They need
we
to
just
do
need to
something
clear the slate.
we have not seen before.
Let's get rid of some people
I don't know.
because they're
Yeah.
they're hoarders.
I feel like
They're
they're just gonna
hoarding
they're gonna do that,
superheroes.
but they're gonna do like the Coulson. They're gonna kill Happy.
They're gonna kill Happy. That's gonna be the
It's like,
next.
oh, I thought he died in the third one. I just
What
got-
is
he's
that
like-
guy still alive?
I think
Yeah.
what shocks me is that we have Ant-Man and we don't have Black Widow. Like,
right.
how do we not have
That's
that
a little
movie?
unfair. It was
And I
also
was
kind of
thinking the
silly
whole
seeing the
time-
Falcon try to stomp him and he couldn't get him a machine gun. I'm like, oh man, like I'm not scared of Falcon at all. Like,
That
you're-
scene gave me, as far as when they realized
Yeah,
where
that
they
was really
were,
cool.
that was pretty awesome. But it was also,
But yeah.
in that moment, I was like, this is a scene that would have never made it into an Edgar Wright Ant-Man.
No.
Right.
Never in a million years.
It would have been a quick scene with a joke and then he's gone. But I like the idea of like he's just around the bay, like
Right.
It'd been better if he had just been drinking coffee and he heard weird shit.
Yeah,
like that would have
that
been a
would've been
good
the Edgar
gag.
Wright moment.
But you see like the cameo of that,
Yeah.
and maybe he's in like, or it's like someone in a suit and they're just like on a break and it's boring at a
Right.
computer like at
Right.
work at the Avengers station. Like that would have been an Edgar Wright joke.
So if you had to pick one thing that you liked best about the film,
Michael Pena.
Yeah,
yes.
I mean,
that felt like the Adam McKay joke. Like, I feel like he wrote those scenes. Like, that seemed in my mind that connected to that.
Right.
yeah.
I was like,
he
oh, that's
great.
that sense of humor there.
And then
It was really weird that the funniest thing that should have been like a really funny movie was like a small supporting role. It was-
Yeah.
it
Well,
was-
yeah.
that was like
every-
also, it wasn't just the funniest thing, it was also one of the most inventive things I felt like that was creative. Like those the little moments with him.
Yeah.
His little flashback
All the
sequences were
reviews
fun.
Yeah, those are
say
great.
that he's
Yeah.
the
That felt very like
best
Edgar
part of the
Wright.
movie.
Yeah, which is weird because it seems like okay, well you've got Paul Rudd as the leading man. You've got
No, Paul Rudd. I think he did. I think he did a
good
great
job.
job. I think he did a great
too.
job. I think
like
he was
Paul
dialed
Rudd.
back a bit. Like you
Yeah.
would see little flashes of Paul Rudd, but
some of the jokes I felt like didn't really land.
Yeah,
to
they
like there's
fell flat.
some weird timing in there, but
He's also, he can do more like raunchy. I think they also like had to say like you gotta, make sure they're, even the jokes are dialed down a bit too.
yeah. But I
Right.
hate that there was probably a meeting. They're like, let's
Yeah,
tone it down. Let's not do anything fun or exciting here.
that's what I feel like. They
let's
had
go
to
right
fight
down the
for,
middle
like
of the
2 or
road.
3. Like I bet
Yeah.
the stuff he and Adam McKay wrote, they're like pick 3.
Yeah,
Big
because
jokes.
you guys are getting too crazy. We can't handle Ant-Man being a weird movie.
Yeah, and that's exactly what they needed at this point was a weird movie,
Right.
Even
Or
with-
something that we already cared about, like a Black Widow.
I mean,
movie.
yeah, throw it to if it Edgar Wright
Which
can't
not
do
to get
it,
all like
throw it to someone like real different, just
Right.
totally different and weird.
yeah, not
Right.
to get like all like feminist and everything, but it's like I'm really tired of like the 30-something white male hero. He's the dad,
right.
gonna put on the
Daughter.
suit and yeah.
The daughter's like, she's
It's
like,
like-
you're their biggest hero. I'm like, I think he's been in jail the whole time she's been
Yeah,
alive.
it's weird that she thinks that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you would
She
think that
loved
her
the creepy
cop,
bunny. That
Yeah.
kid is
her cop
totally
potential
screwed up.
stepfather probably mentioned that more than once that he was in jail.
Yeah,
Right.
like, several
they were the
times.
worst cops
And they worked out
appropriately.
their relationship pretty easily at the end because of something that should have scarred the
She got a
stepfather.
giant ant out of it. I mean, come on.
She also got that homicidal bunny, and she's like, I love it.
She loved that
Yeah.
bunny.
creepy cat.
And Judy Greer, that's her name, the
That's
mom.
it, yeah.
Judy
Yep.
Greer, she was also a concerned mother in
but
Jurassic
just a
World.
waste. Yeah, 2 wasted roles. really.
Two movies in the same summer, concerned mom. Go Judy Greer.
Also, the like third henchman guy on the team, the black guy.
Oh yeah, the creepy
was, like, a
guy
moment-
from Dark Knight.
I hate to say like it was the black guy, but there was a moment where he's like, "Damn!" and I just rolled my eyes. Like
Wait, the guy
something
from
happens.
T.I. or the
I don't
other
even.
guy?
yeah, that was
T.I.
T.I., yeah.
There's
And
like
then you
something
did
I
have
don't
the-
even remember what it was. I think it was like when he saw Ant-Man for the first time, or he did something. He's like, and it cuts to him
Damn.
going, "Damn!"
I thought you were talking about the guy
UM.
from the Dark Knight, like with the
That guy,
that-
the
Oh,
Joker's
no, no, no.
henchman.
And
yeah.
Harvey's like, "You think I will do it?"
Yeah.
And Batman's like, "Chill out." Like that's like the first scene where
This
Harvey
was a different-
starts freaking
It's a
out.
different film. for
Yeah,
him.
it's a little different.
So, yeah.
All right, well that
Anyway,
was fun.
we got that out of the way.
It was a fun film. I would not tell people not to see it.
I would.
You would.
I would
I
tell
was
people who
miserable.
aren't fans of
I
comics.
was like yawning during the movie.
I would
was
tell
bored.
people who are not comic fans like don't see it. Like,
I mean,
They're
I'm
going to see it. People are going. They're going to see
yeah,
it.
you've already made up your mind if you're going to see it, and we're not going to influence that. If you're on the fence, you're probably not going to want to like it. So
I think it's fine. Just go in with managed
it's
expectations.
fine. You won't like next year. You'll be like if you think about what you saw last summer, this will not pop in your head. You will have forgotten completely about it.
You'll remember how underwhelmed you were by Age of Ultron, and then you saw
10 years
some-
from now, you'll be like, oh yeah.
They did make an
Yeah.
Ant-Man movie. I remember.
Now that we're remaking it, now I remember the original.
yeah.
they've recast
Now that
it.
Edgar Wright is remaking it.
yeah.
All right, guys.
All right,
well,
gang.
Thomas, thank you for joining
No
us.
problem. Thank
We'll
you for
have you
having
again.
it. I enjoyed it very
Absolutely,
much.
man. We'll have you again. Thank you for coming.
I've enjoyed my time in the back seat.
It's a good
We'll end
time.
on that.